Hey everyone, it's James Lambert, the motivational coach and speaker. I went from knockouts to knowledge and from headlocks to hugs. I still embrace people, just now in a far more positive way. So hello there, I hope you're absolutely thriving and having a wonderful day. And you join me, just having a little coffee break with my man, Mr. Happy. Life is good. So, in this broadcast, I really wanted to talk about trusting yourself, trusting life, and trusting the process. And what came to mind while I was meditating, just taking some quiet time, as I call it, earlier, was this story from my past I want to share with you to put the point into context. Now, many times things can literally, seemingly, be falling apart. Life is not going to plan. There could be a lack of finances, if any at all. Relationships, if you have one, could be going poorly. Your health may not be that great, and things are looking quite bleak. And it's at moments like these when we can all give in to despair. We're only human, and yet if we're not careful, we can lose the light at the end of the tunnel that is there. Essentially, I'm talking about hope. And in my life, I've had many what they call dark nights of the soul. Many times where I literally wanted to give up. And yet I'm so glad I didn't, because if I had, I would have not only not have met my beautiful wife, but inspired the people I have done, and met all many people now around the world. So you see, we all have a vital purpose, nay role to play. And if you check out before your time's up, a lovely quote comes to mind. You know, it's not over until it's over. And, you know, if it's not over, it's not the end. You know, if you're still here, you have a purpose, you have a meaning. And your meaning, quite simply, is to love, to be a vehicle of love. So just want to give you a story from my past. I remember I was a young man. I was living in, on reflection, not quite, I want to say dreadful. It wasn't a very cheery place, let's say. A bedsit in an enormous vast estate off of the Edgware Road in London. And it was fairly ironic, you see this contrast, because you didn't have to go far. Along the Edgware Road, there was example of great wealth. Lots of the Saudi Arabians came over with their gleaming, shining Mercedes and Rolls Royces. And then literally, not that far where I was living at the time, it's one of the vastest estates in Europe, and sort of how they work it around these censuses, it was one of the poorest also. And there was a lot of despair, a lot of rampant drug use and alcoholism, quite openly. And difficult times. And I made a decision whilst I was living there, that I just wanted to get away. And I was in a low place, feeling quite depressed, fighting a lot. And so I decided to enlist in the Royal Navy initially, and there was a recruitment station somewhere, I want to say near Tottenham Court Road. It was around that place, Oxford Circus, Tottenham Court Road. So it wasn't a far tube trip. So I remember I got on the tube, went off, and I was full of enthusiasm for once. At that time, I had a bit of a purpose. I had some light at the end of the tunnel, some hope. And I went along there all enthusiastically, and you had to sit while they were going through some videos and saying this and that and what have you. And then after being there, I think it was just under 2 hours, we went into the room where you're going to sign this bit of paper to start the process, I guess. And at the time, I had, it wasn't that large, but I had a tattoo across my neck, sort of here, and it said, "In God I trust." And the man, I remember the man sort of go, "Oh no, you can't have any visible tattoos in the Navy, that won't do, so you'd have to sort of go away." And I remember at that, I held it together at the time, but I was despondent, doesn't even begin to say it. I had like a dream, I had some hope, everything was seemingly dashed. Now, of course, as I eventually did go on to do, I had it laser removed. And that was whilst I was enlisting into the Royal Marines. That's a separate journey and story. The point is, I came back to my dreary bedsit, and talk about my dreams being dashed upon the rocks. I was inconsolable, and I don't mind admitting, at that time, I didn't even have a bed. It was just a thin mattress on the floor. I sort of fell against it in despair and wept. And I was just, as I say, I was in a bleak place, but it was that I wanted change, and I grasped what I thought was the only thing possible for me at that time. I thought the Royal Navy, just get away from here, get away from your problems. The joke is I didn't know that your problems moved with you at that point. Again, that's something separate, but I just wanted to go on, get away. And there was a link, you know, my grandfather was in the Royal Navy, and I thought, you know what, see the world, use all of this energy I had that was getting used up in the fighting, use it somewhat constructively, positively, join the Royal Navy. So when they said I couldn't join due to my tattoo on the neck, I was, as I say, in a really, really bad place. And yet, little did I know, obviously as the months and years went back, upon reflection, with the benefit of hindsight, it was one of the best things that happened to me. Had I gone off onto that, I would have never not only realised my purpose now, but all the friends I've made, all the associations, all the people I've helped in the years since. Had I been packed off to war, who knows what would have happened. Not only would I have been, it's safe to say, a very different person in my mindset, but if I went to war, it's very conceivable that I wouldn't be here today, making this video, talking to you, sharing the love. So you see what I'm trying to say, to put it even further in context, what can seem like a travesty and tragedy in your life, with the benefit of hindsight, could be the best thing that happened to you. So do you see in your own life, if you're going through a challenge or an obstacle or a situation now in your life, you could be facing bankruptcy or certainly large debts. You could be facing a change of career, a breakup of a relationship, and you are feeling absolutely terrible. Let's say it how it is. You could be experiencing anxiety and depression, fear, a lack of love, all these so-called terrible things, and yet it's not a breakdown, it's a breakthrough. Your light at the end of the tunnel is coming, and it's beholden on you to get through this. Precisely because you're going through this, it's setting you up for something better. And somebody used, I read somewhere recently on social media, a lovely analogy that an arrow, it can only be launched forward by being pulled back. So it's almost like when you're going back in life, you think, oh, what's the point? What is the point of this? How can a lack of money be serving me, James? How can a depression be serving me? How can a lack of a relationship or a stable job be serving me? You see, it's preparing you for something better. And through your challenges, you actually develop the grit, as I've found, and moreover the empathy. So yes, I've read a lot of books, but because I've gone through some things, when clients get in touch with me, there's a heart connection which is even more powerful than the mind connection. Because somebody can nod sagely, oh yes, I feel your pain. But if they haven't felt it for themselves, I humbly suggest, how can they truly overstand your pain and where you've been? You see, because I was hurting so much then, and I thought, that's the end. What hope have I got if the Royal Navy won't let me in? I truly did believe that for a time. Yes, I got over it, but for a time I was in the deep despair. And so I encourage you, and you don't have to be in the deep despair, but if you are in a bit of a funk, if you are anxious over the future, don't worry. Hold on. Things will get better, and what can seem like an ending today, believe me, is the start of something beautiful. So, as I've entitled this, trust the process, trust yourself, and trust life. When you think about it, it's got you this far, so who's to say, why not believe positively that it's going to maintain you for the future? When you think about it, you've always had enough air to breathe, there's always enough oxygen, you've got here, you've had your life, your heart is still beating. And so the very life, the very fabric of the world that is supporting you, it will continue to do so. So trust yourself, trust the process, and realise if you are experiencing despondency or despair at the moment, realise that they are just feelings. You are not that. Your essence, your greater self, your higher self is still, as what I always allude to, unstoppable. So you may be experiencing anxiety or depression, but that is not you. So I hope today's video has been of use. I hope you have found value in it. Please, if you have, get in touch with me. You can message me through my Facebook public page at James Lambert. If you like motivation and you like to be encouraged, look at my YouTube channel under James Lambert. There is daily motivational videos, and there's at least, I think I've gone over 310 now, so there's lots of value there for you. And also look out for me on Twitter, Mr. Happy79. So wherever you are, have a beautiful day, look after yourselves, and never forget that you, yes you, are unstoppable, and I believe in you.